Hey everybody, happy Wine Wednesday. So what are you sipping on, Holly? Let me get my fingers up here.
It's a Dr. Pepper Zero with some rum in it.
I was gonna say I am actually sipping on Chardonnay, my usual, but my
Nice.
new my New Year's resolution this year is to lose some weight. So we might have to turn it into diet drink and vodka
You
Wednesday or
might
something.
need some tips from me.
Yes. Um, But guys, if you didn't see the post, I'm so sorry we haven't been around for 2 weeks. First week I was caught in an appointment. Second week I literally didn't know what day it was. That's how chaotic my life is. If you did not see my post, I am very interested in talking with anyone who would be willing to help with the stream, whether you want to start coming in and helping now or just be the backup if I can't get here. I'm just one person, so sometimes Wednesdays don't work out, and I never want the stream to fail or the help for the community to fail. So if you're interested in becoming a part of Wine Wednesday, please contact me because we need some help. But anyways, we're back today. And when we got started, sorry we're late, but when we got started, we had to catch up behind the scenes. And then obviously, actually, I'll just show you guys. There's all these new options. Nope, I don't think I can do it from here. But there's these new options to make us round, to mess with the background. So lots of things to play with. Again, if anyone's interested, come join us and help us. Because I'm just here for the community. I love my seahorses. I want information too, and I want to share the knowledge that I've kept. But anyways, getting on to it, again, happy Wine Wednesday. What have you been up to, Holly?
So today I did my twice yearly maintenance on my Robert King char chambers. That's something I do every 6 months. So today I did that, and I have to say, I've done it so many times now. The seahorses are getting older, so I'm a few times in on changing the char. So it went pretty smoothly. This time what I do is I take out half of the char out of the chamber, and then it goes into a hydrogen peroxide and water bath for 24 hours and dries out, and then I can reuse it about 7 times, they say. So I figure it'll last the life of the seahorses. But it's funny when I do it. Now I have one tank where the seahorses really don't care that much about the char chambers, but Sadie loves the char chamber. And so when I took the char chamber out today, she had a fit. She went to the corner where the char chamber sits and threw a fit.
Oh no.
And then she sat in the front of the tank next to Dandy, looking at me and Dandy like, she's like, oh no, my char chamber's gone. And then she was very relieved to get it back. But I posted a video of her on my Facebook today, so I could share it if you guys want to see it. But you'll see what a
Yeah,
seahorse looks like having a
pouting.
hiss fit. Yeah. So let me go to that and find it,
While
and then
you grab
I'll let you
that,
know when I'm
yeah,
ready.
I also wanted to ask you, Holly, while you're looking for that. I know it doesn't help, while you're looking to talk to
Sure.
you again, but we also heard that Opie became an internet sensation overnight.
Oh yeah, not intentionally, but my little wild possum that's been visiting me every night since, I want to say, late summer, midsummer. I joined a couple possum groups, and I had some questions about Opie's behavior and the possibility, like how to tell if Opie's a boy or girl without really seeing parts.
Yeah.
And so I made a post and I didn't realize what site I was on. Instead of my private group, I posted it in a public group.
Oh, gotcha.
And Opie went viral.
Yeah.
That post, within a day, I had close to 11,000 reactions, over 300 shares to
Yep.
what I have no clue, 800 and something comments. Because basically, I was asking for people's interaction and experiences. So people
Yeah.
chimed in from everywhere. So I was kind of overwhelmed. And within a day, I noticed all these groups, mostly groups, were stealing my post or parts of it. It was being reposted all over Facebook, in you name it. I even had something called Dragonfly Lovers repost it to the same group that I originally posted it on. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just gotten crazy out of control. And the thing is, I'm not what they call a video creator or
Sure.
I'm not out there trying to make money off Facebook. I was just trying to kind of meet people and share some stuff. And it's it's
Well,
just
I'll
crazy.
tell you.
It's frustrating when people share your stuff and some of the posts are like out of context. Like they
Yeah.
took what my words and put it with somebody else's picture or my picture with somebody else's words or tagged themselves in my picture or a million different ways, and it's just to get attention to their page
Yep.
or whatever, to draw people to their page so they can
Make money. Right.
get, either make
So,
money
so I
or
remember.
steal your stuff or whatever it may be, which is frustrating. But like I told one of the friends I made in the group, I'm like, there's no way I can go after these people or
No.
try to do anything because it's too much. I don't have the time for that.
So we're gonna get back to seahorses, I promise, guys. But in this case, Opie is, a channel, mascot too. And I would say that I went through this also when I first started with seahorses and when I created that beautiful macro tank that was in magazines and etc. Um, the stealing didn't stop until the pictures were in the magazine, and then they were like, oh shit. And even after that, people still would take
Yeah.
those pictures. If you post something on Facebook, it's free
Hmm.
reign, right?
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
one way to get around that, and it sounds ridiculous
Well,
because
unless you
you're not,
watermark, right? Because you can watermark your pictures, I think.
or copyright, right? All you have to do is put the little at copyright or watermark it, and then you can do something about it if there's a case where people are stealing your stuff, because it does suck. Hey, Fish Fam Link, good to see ya.
So I
Been
have
a
my
couple
video
weeks.
ready too. When
All
you're
right, let's
ready, I
share it.
can
Yeah,
show
feel free.
Sadie. And yeah, so that happened with Opie, but yeah, just so people know it happens.
Yes,
All right, so let
protect
me
your stuff.
go to share. And da, 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 da. Oh, this has changed too. So let me get it to where it's in the right. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so here, let's make it big. So here she is freaking out.
Hang on, let me share it. All right. Okay.
Yeah, so
Why isn't it the biggest thing? I don't know. All right, go ahead.
yeah, so there she is. That's the spot where the char chamber sits. So I'll start it again since we came in. So see her in that corner
And
throwing a
she's
fit.
like, "Where's my char chamber?" Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, see what she does. She's
she
like,
is not happy.
she's not happy. I took it away. And so part of the time, yeah, she was doing that dance in the corner where it goes because she dances with it.
Yeah.
She thinks it's her friend. I don't know. So then here she came and sat next to Dandy and just looked at me like, "Mom, what'd you do with my charging?"
Oh my gosh. So again, folks,
Oh, so yeah.
we are apparently marketing for Robert King char chambers because not only do they help with filtration and oxygenation and etc., but they also become a best friend to seahorses, and they
Yeah,
pout if you
Sadie,
take it away.
she's yeah, no, she loves it, and she's my only one that really feels that way about it. I mean, I have 2 in my other tank, and they ignore it. Nobody
Yeah,
cares about the char chamber but Sadie. But in that tank, her mom also loved the char chamber.
yeah,
So, I mean, some do and some don't. Dandy likes to sit behind it sometimes, like when he's trying to hide or wants some comfort for some reason, he'll
right.
go and get behind the char chamber. So they for some reason they kind of have an odd attachment to it, but not all the seahorses do, and some
Yeah,
more than others.
I was gonna say, like, I think you're right. It depends on the seahorse. We talk
Mhm,
constantly about seahorse personalities, and
mhm,
most of mine love the char chamber.
mhm.
I've talked repeatedly about how
Yeah,
they fight over
who's
sleeping
gonna
on
sit
it.
on it? Yeah, or
Yeah, because if they can hitch to that airline, they got bubbles massaging them all night long. I mean, I
mhm.
think of it like my foam bed that massages me, right? It's like a
Yeah.
massage to them or whatever. And so they fight over it, but there's
Now
a couple that just don't give a poop about it, you
right,
know?
right.
So,
Now Sadie also has another thing she really likes. I gave her an air stone. I
okay.
put I put in an airline and attached just a normal air stone to it, and I hooked it through one of her hitches. One of the ones from was it Ocean Aquaria or something, that makes the artificial sponges and
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
I kind of threaded it through there so she can sit in there and get a spa treatment. And she loves that. She'll go and sit in it sometimes, a lot of times in the evening, almost like she's taking a bubble bath. She wants to sit in the bubbles.
Give it a try with just open-ended airline, allowing bigger bubbles to come up and see if she
So,
if
She
that
Rhea,
has
if
one
that
of
wait,
works.
those
time out, time
too,
out, time out, time out.
actually.
Before we
Mhm.
go forward, I see Bonnie, I see your question, but Ray, I wanted to ask you because I remember Cheryl and Dan saying repeatedly that open-ended airlines were better than using the attachments. Is there a reason for that? Can you explain that?
Two reasons right off the top of my head. First reason is less salt creep. The
Okay.
smaller bubbles can create more
Mhm.
salt creep.
From the
And the
splash.
second reason is larger bubbles create greater turmoil at the surface for better gas exchange.
That makes sense. Okay, gotcha. But there's nothing wrong with using the attachments. That probably just shouldn't be your one and only.
I didn't hear that. Your volume is
Sorry,
too loud,
I'm
too
not
low.
using the AirPods this week, guys. They're on the fritz. But I said, so nothing wrong with using the attachments, just that it shouldn't be your one and only.
What attachment? You mean
Like
the air stone?
like the air stone, I think she
Air
means.
stone, I would never use an air stone in a saltwater tank.
So because of the saltwater creep.
Saltwater creep and the fact that I get better agitation at the surface.
So, but again, that was kind of my question. Is that
Well,
Holly
you can go
doesn't?
ahead and use it,
Yeah, that was my
but
question. Is that
yeah,
Holly
if
doesn't
you're
need
gonna if you can
agitation?
tolerate the
Right.
extra saltwater creep, you're gonna get things around the tank. Anything metal with steel and iron and that in it, it's going to corrode much faster.
Gotcha. No, I get your point. I was just saying, if you're in a situation where you already have your tank the way you want it, the aeration is great, the filtration is great, you just want to add something as a decoration, then it doesn't matter how you do it. But
Well,
maybe don't.
it's a decoration, I would be adding it for something for them to get relief because they go into the bubbles and it gives them relief, like you scratching your back against the corner on the hallway or something.
Mm-hmm. Now I have another one too I can show you if you want me to share that now. I've got it
Yeah,
pulled
sure.
up. So this is the other bubbler I have in the tank. They have two. So here's this one.
Okay, let me share it, and then we're gonna go to Bonnie's question.
So I
Hang
put
on.
different
Hang on, hang
decorations
on.
in.
It takes me a minute to share it. All right, go ahead.
Okay. All right, so this is Dandy sitting in front of the other one. So this is kind of more like the open-ended airline type, but it's an actual bubbler, and this is their snow globe. So it's got a light in it. It's got little plastic thingies that float around and it makes bubbles. It lights up. And they like this one too. But they don't really sit in this one. They like to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But she prefers the the air stone because I have it turned on pretty high. And the thing about in that tank, I don't really worry about salt creep because it's enclosed. That's my acrylic tank. So
Gotcha.
it actually has a roof on it. It's got slots instead of being open. So I've got a few bubbling things in there. I have this, I have the open-ended airline, and then I have the char chamber in there. So
I
there's
like this
three
because
things bubbling.
it feels like she's like, looking at a snow globe. That's
Yeah, and this is Dandy. That's actually
oh, it's him.
Dandy
Okay.
checking it out right now. But yeah, Sadie likes to sit on the candy cane in front of it. And I keep it on at night, the light. It's kind of like a night light in there. And remember, I get up super early in the morning before a
Yes,
couple
I
of
know.
lights come on. So they see me, they know the house is awake, and it's kind of like wake up time for them, they'll come and start looking around and like, okay, when are you going to feed us? When do we get our lights on? But it's kind of pretty in there, with the dim light and them just checking out the stuff.
Gotcha. Very
It's
good.
kind of cool. I'm going to
All
stop the
right.
sharing here. There we
Yep. And
go.
I'm gonna really quickly see if I can't really quickly share to answer Bonnie's question because we love them. All right, here we go. So I'm learning how to reshare here because all my buttons are different, guys. They changed the system that I
Yeah.
use, but let's see if I can enable to share screen. Okay, why not? All right, I can't share the screen. So I will just tell you the question was, what's a Robert King char chamber? Holly, you want to start off?
I was going to see if I could maybe go to it and share it from
Google
my.
Robert King char chamber. For some reason, it's not
It
letting
won't
me.
do it from the link. Okay, I can do.
I see new local Austin has joined us. Hello. And it's not really a snow globe. That's just what I called it, guys. But also tell us what you're about, new local Austin. We're here for newcomers always. And welcome to our community. We often, we focus in on seahorses and macros and saltwater, but we expand from time to time. It's just a local weekly channel where we drink wine and chat about what's going on in our tanks and help people and become a community. So glad to have you. And Zen said it's the page that says, what is a char chamber? And I can start answering because for me,
Yeah, because I had a bunch of results come up, so it's picking the right
so
one to be the best to share is
I'll tell you,
the challenge.
Look, Holly. The first one works. Oh no, I'm on the wrong one. I'm on adjustable
Yeah,
bed. Sorry.
let me
Sorry.
ask because I got all kinds of video stuff, like
Well, and
long
Facebook
stuff.
Facebook is the forte, but all I did on my computer was Google Robert King Char Chamber. Char Chamber's one word. And I got a
Yeah,
perfect thing to share, but it won't let me, and I don't know why.
yeah, that's what happened. Here we go. Da-da-da. All right, here we go.
Okay,
This is a
share
good
away.
basic thing. So let me set up
There we
to
go.
share.
You're sharing.
And here we go. Is it on already?
Yep.
You
Scroll
beat me
down.
to it.
Oh, here we go. It's
You
telling
gotta
me other
scroll.
stuff.
So
All right. So you see that screen,
nope, you stop
the
sharing.
beneficial filter.
Wait, Holly, you stop sharing.
It was weird because it told me it was sharing something else. Here we go.
All right, let's try
Maybe
one
that
more
was mine
time.
that was there.
There we
All
go.
right.
Does it say beneficial filter?
Yes.
There we go. And here we go. I think if I click on this, it'll take us to the page. Here we go. So that's what it looks like.
Wait a minute, it hasn't changed yet on our end. I think
Okay.
you have to click on the new picture.
All right. Let me go back to the live stream and see.
Sorry, guys, we're learning this all as we
Reshare.
go.
Yeah. Here we go. Okay. I found it. Just learning as we go here.
That's it.
So there's the picture.
All right. So this is a Robert King char chamber. So I'm going to take over for 1 sec and just say, without reading any of it, that it's a sponge filter at the bottom. So it's sucking all the nasty up to the sponge. And then it goes through this special char. So Ray would absolutely say you could just use carbon, but there's something special about aqua char and then Robert King's char, where it's a biofilter and it's a mechanical filter too. And there's reasons for that. Go back and watch the episode that we had with Robert King about the char chamber to learn extensively more. But basically, it has properties that attract the nasty stuff, take it in, soak it up, and then after time, when like if you're talking about carbon stops working after a certain amount of time. It soaks everything up, and then it can't soak anything more up. But in this case, with this type of char, it soaks everything up, and as Holly was talking about earlier, she renews it. But if you didn't, it would become like a rock. Like, it's not going to release the stuff, and it's going to start then acting like I'm sorry, I
Just
said in the beginning.
biomedia. So it'll be like a biomedia.
Yeah, I said earlier biomechanical, I meant biochemical. So it starts first as a chemical media, and then it works as a biomedia, right? Because this char is special. And then the way it's set up, as she's showing, is then there's an airline coming out of it, and this thing bubbles. And so my seahorses love to hitch to the airline and sit literally with bubbles going up their butts all night long. They don't have butts, but you know what I mean. And it's like a massage to them, and they love sitting on it, and it's cleaning the water. So I'm a big fan of Robert King Chambers. I think it's made a world of difference in my tanks. But it's not a must for any tank, just to be clear. But go ahead, Holly. What else do you want to say about it?
Yeah, so for me, I don't rely on it, but it's kind of an extra. I will tell you this, when I first put them in my tank, I had never seen the water so clear. I mean, sparkling crystal clear. And since I started using them, I never have cloudy water other than from the salt when I first do a water change. Just from that, it'll be for a few minutes. But running the char chambers, I haven't had any problems with the what do they call it? Those bacterial clouds or whatever that you get now and then.
Yeah,
You know,
bacterial
what I'm
bloom.
talking- bacterial bloom. Yeah, I have never had one since I started using the char chambers, and I I just keep them running. The seahorses, like I said, some really like them, some don't. Really
Well, it's not
care.
that they
But
don't;
it
they just
makes
don't care.
it
Yeah.
makes. But I think like I'm looking at the tank I'm in front of right now. Let me stop share. Let me see if I can show you because I'm noticing right now it is so clear here. So let me see. Whoops, I got to unplug the computer or I'm going to cause a problem.
And as she's
See if
doing
you can
that,
see.
guys, the reason, guys, that I'm turning off like our very cool snails and stuff is because they were in the middle of Holly's face. Again, we're getting used to this new
Yeah, so I'm
way of
trying
doing
to
things.
adjust the
All right.
computer because I can't see from where the camera is. But if
All
you
right,
can
go
see
down a
what my
little
tank
bit.
looks like this way,
Perfect. Yeah. Oh, look how clean that is. How do I make her
the
big?
glass is not clean. I can see the outside of the tank is not clean. But I mean, the water itself is
Oh man. And you guys
polished.
see her Robert King chamber in the left-hand corner, right there bubbling,
And you
right?
can see in this tank, I have one on each side. So if I go this way, hopefully you can see,
Yep.
I've got a pre-filter and then behind it's a char chamber. And then on this other side, there's another char chamber. I don't know. Yeah, you can see here. And there's a
That
couple seahorses hanging out at the bottom there.
look at that big Santa hole for them too. And I would say, guys, this tank makes me jealous because
And
none of my
there's
tanks are this clear.
these guys have a bubble or two. You can
Oh,
see
they do
there.
have a snow globe,
So
literally.
I got them one of their own, and there's one seahorse in here that really likes it. Betty likes to sit by it. The others really don't care. And then I ran a bubbler through this artificial reef thing, so they have that bubbling too.
That's awesome. Because they do love the
So that
bubbles for sure. All right.
yeah, so that's my tiki tank. So I got four of them in that tank. It's a 75-gallon. And then Sadie and Dandy live in the 55-gallon in the living room.
Yes. And you do so nice for them. Man, they have such amazing lives. Sorry. I'm trying
Yeah, they're
to
staying
look
up
at the
late
comment.
tonight. They're usually in the dark by now.
So Ray, you were saying in our member chat that no one else can see. Why do you think those chambers work so well?
Well, they're doing at least what carbon does. Pardon me. And it's going to remove dissolved organics. And by keeping the DO down at a lower level, you're less likely to have your bacterial blooms. Bacterial blooms are most likely to occur as the DO levels rise because that's when your pathogen activity increases. Um, so anything you can do, like your skimmers, carbon, and this char chamber, anything like that that can help to keep that dissolved organic level down is going to help for bacterial blooms.
Well, and Holly, I wanted to ask before we go to
Mhm.
Bonnie's next question. You said that you replaced the char. What do you mean by that? And do you clean the chamber?
I do all I do is I disconnect the chamber from the air supply. I first of all I submerge it in a bucket of dirty water as I'm
Yep.
cleaning the tank, and I take a toothbrush and I scrub the outside of it, all the algae and stuff off of it. I
Yep.
squeeze the sponge part underwater and just swish it around to kind of clean it that way.
Yep.
Then I pull it out of the water. I take it into the kitchen and I take the chamber apart. I empty out half of the char that's in it into a plastic coffee can. And then I replace the rest of it. So I fill it up with new char or char that I've used before.
Okay.
That's still good because you can reuse it. I read up to 7 times. It's still good. So I recycle it. So then it goes from that coffee can. I drain out the water and then I replace it with a solution of half hydrogen peroxide and half water. Leave it for 24 hours in that coffee can to soak. And then you empty it out. I do mine on a bed of paper towels and let it sit out to dry, just like I would do after stuff goes in the bleach bucket. Wait till it's completely dry. And then I add it to a Ziploc bag and I write down the number of times. So I keep track that it's been used. So I have like 1, 2, 3. I'm just now starting my number 2. So that
So,
way I'll know when I get to 7 that it's expired.
so basically, you're reusing the char, and then
Hmm.
every time you decide to replace char, you just add some new and
Yeah.
leave some old. Why?
Yeah, it's 50-50 because it's to keep the biomedia characteristics of it, I believe, is why they tell you that.
So
So
explain.
it's replenishing the bacteria that's in it.
So in other
It's
words,
like any other biomedia, like if you were using the rocks like some of us do, or the bio balls like I do, or you're
any kind
seeding
of
the
media.
new you're seeding the new media with the old media that's already gathered the good bacteria
And the
is I
good
think
bacteria does what for the tank? Just for anyone brand new.
just helps to keep it cycled and clean. And
So
honestly, in my tank, I probably don't need it for that because I have so much biomedia in my sump. But I just do it because that's just what I do. It's
your
just part of my
routine.
routine.
Your
And
routine.
it's 6 months. I originally, if you buy, see, I originally got Aqua Char. It was before Robert King was doing his own char.
Yeah.
So I filled it with Aqua Char, and the Aqua Char came with the directions on how to, replenish it. And it said every 6 months. And so that's just what I did.
Yep. I'm going for the real basics, like for someone that doesn't understand the nitrogen cycle. So when you say biomedia, the reason that you leave some of the old char in there and replenish half 50-50, as you said, is
Hmm.
because the old char has the bacteria that handles the nitrogen cycle, the ammonia, the nitrite, the nitrates. And then
Hmm.
as you add new, that new char is going to do that chemical part where it's
Hmm.
sucking in more and taking up more of the organics, but it's also being seeded by the old and becomes a biomedia. So it's kind of like this really cool thing that just does both, right?
Yep. Yep.
All right. And Ray, were you
And
saying
to
something?
answer
Um,
Bonnie,
Yeah,
no, I
go
don't
ahead.
have a media reactor.
2 things. First of all, I don't think I would have the patience to use a toothbrush cleaning off the outside of it. I'd use maybe a dishwash brush, something
Hmm.
larger, so I get over it faster. And the second thing just all of a sudden went out of my skull here. That's what happens when you got
Well, what were you saying in the chat? You said
oh,
you were
the talking about the biometric aspect of it.
Hmm.
If, in my opinion, if the uh, biomedia factor is a very small percentage of your total biomedia in the system, then you should have no problem of changing the whole thing all at once.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like half of your biometrics, then you can't change it all at once because there's not enough to back it up, and especially if something should happen at the time. But most people that I know of with Seahorse tanks have sufficient that changing the whole reactor, the carbon in the reactor at the same time should be no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So the layman's terms for that is, guys, because Ray gets all fancy schmancy, so I just want to put it in layman's terms. Basically, my tank has rock and has
Mm-hmm.
macros and
Mm-hmm.
has a K1 media reactor, right? So my Robert King chamber is an add-on. It's not the basis for my biofiltration because
Mm-hmm.
again, the big thing is you never want nitrite or ammonia or anything in your tank, and you need that nitrogen cycle working and the bacteria working for that. So in my case, I could replace all of the char every time because it wouldn't really affect the tank because I've got all these alternative methods of bio, meaning rock, K1 filter,
Mm-hmm.
etc. But for someone that was using it as a basis for their main fill, like I remember Vincent, I wish Vincent was around right now because in his adolescent tanks where he was growing up
Mm-hmm.
the juveniles, he
That was his main thing.
only his
Mm-hmm.
entire filtration for the entire tank was Robert King Chambers. So I'm
Yep.
guessing he's not here to back me up, but I'm guessing that in his case, when he wasn't using rock or media reactors or anything else, he literally was using the chambers as his filtration. First of all, he was doing massive water changes, and also he was not replacing all of the char because that was his rock, so to speak. If that, I hope that makes
And
sense.
you can watch on Robert King's, he developed them for his clownfish because
Yeah.
he breeds and raises clownfish. And that's
Yep.
what he developed these for and relies on them, I think, exclusively in some of those tanks
Yep.
for filtration. And that's what his point was. And then I wanted to tell Ray, you're gonna laugh. There's a reason I used a toothbrush mainly. And it's
You like the
because
taste when you clean your teeth after.
no, something else. Yeah, my love of critters. Get this. In Dandy and Sadie's tank, their char chamber has a feather duster worm living on it.
Uh,
And I don't want to disturb it, so I have to clean carefully around it.
there you go.
And I
But
just do it on the other. It's just the way I do it. And mainly it's because that's what I have is old toothbrushes. But I started that way because of the feather duster worm that lives on Dandy and Sadie's. And it's the only feather duster worm because that and a few limpets showed up out of nowhere. Because remember, I used to have rock and all that. And after I went, completely artificial, a year or two later, after the fact, random feather duster worm limpet things came out of nowhere, and I just let them live and try to
let
look
them
out
live.
for them
Well,
too.
and I'll say I'm not a critter lover. I love limpets. I love limpets, and featherworm dusters are amazing. But I don't have them, and
And it's
so
just a teeny one. I mean, it's like this big, right? It's not one of those big, pretty ones in a tank. It's tiny, but it's a living thing, so I leave it alone.
Ray has to leave us for his appointment. Thank you for joining us, Ray. We
See,
won't miss again.
see in 3 weeks, I guess, after Christmas and New Year's.
Who says we're
Yeah,
not gonna?
yeah.
Who says we're
Christmas
not
and New
gonna
Year's
do it?
are Wednesdays.
Yeah,
I
Christmas is
didn't.
on Wednesday.
We'll see. I'm still feeling like we'll be here. At least
I
me.
I probably could. I don't
Yeah.
see any reason why not. I might be messed up though by that point.
Hey, we'll have
I might have had
fun
more
Wednesday.
than a drink or two at that point.
Then we'll start telling you guys the truth about seahorses. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Good night, all. I got to
Good
run.
night, Ray. Get your
Good
appointment.
night, Ray.
All
Good
right.
luck tonight.
But yeah, I haven't made a schedule, so I'm not saying we won't be here because we likely will. So definitely watch for posts or check in. But yeah, with the chamber, I can't even remember who said it, but oh no, you did, Holly. You said it's on Robert King's channel. Definitely go check that out because it does absolutely depend on whether you're using it as your ultimate filtration method, which you can do. As a seahorse keeper, I personally would advise against it because you never want to have just one, right?
Yeah.
Because with seahorses, dissolved organics and, a nasty tank is so bad for them and they can get sick so easily if you let the tank go. As long as you don't let the tank
Yeah.
go, they're easy to take care of. But if
I
you let the
think
tank go,
mechanical filtration is really important for
well,
seahorses
and
and
bio
stuff.
is too. And what I'm saying is so you can use it as the complete filtration, as Vincent and Robert have done. You can watch their videos. But in my case, Holly's case, other people's cases, it's just an added benefit where it's clearing the water, cleaning the water, making it even better, adding to the bio and chemical filtration, adding to the bubbles that the seahorses love. That's kind of why we use it. So it's not, again, not a necessity. I would use it as a secondary method, but it's a
Mhm.
very good secondary method. Instead of spending tons and tons of money on all the new stuff out there, these Robert King chambers, the seahorses actually love, right?
Mhm.
You saw
Mhm.
Sadie looking for her chamber
Yeah,
because it
she's like,
wasn't
"Where did
there.
it go?"
And
Yeah.
my seahorses fight over sleeping on it, right? It's just
Mhm.
a cool thing that helps the tank. I personally would say you shouldn't rely on it completely, though Vincent would disagree with me because you
Yeah.
can, but I'm lazy. I might miss a
Yeah.
time that I need to update the char, or Bonnie's question, do you need to clean the sponge often? Every time because I have macros in
Don't.
the tank, every time I go to clean the tank, that sponge is
Mhm.
nasty. It's probably because I have
It
macros.
it
And I wait, let me
it
finish.
does.
And
It
I'm
does.
I'm not I'm not as much of a critter lover as Holly is. So my butt is putting that sponge in the dirty tank water and squeezing it and wrangling it and scrubbing it together. And I'll have to replace the sponge much sooner than Holly will, obviously. But I don't really care about the sponge, so I just want it clean. And it's not the basis of my biobacteria for the tank.
Yeah.
So it's just a suction for me. So,
I'll say it gets unsightly, and I go sometimes months without cleaning. Like I've gone almost the full 6 months without cleaning the sponge sometimes. And then it's
wow.
like growing some hair algae and stuff. Now, some people who use it, and I'm not positive on this, but I believe Vincent has said this, that he never cleans his. Never.
Yeah. See?
And some people, they say that's part of it, is that it's converting
Into bio.
that
Right.
step into bio. And I don't I don't know. I like to clean it because I like it to look better, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like Ray often says, I'm lazy, so I'll let it go for a long time sometimes before I clean it. Or what I do is when the algae strands are getting long and I'm siphoning out the tank, I'll bring the siphon over there and suck the extra algae off of it.
Yes.
Or give it
Well,
a
that's
quick
that's one
rinse,
of the
detach it, and swish it around in the dirty water bucket when I'm cleaning. But that just adds extra time to my cleaning. So, like I said, I'm lazy. It's just
yeah.
another thing to do. So, I'd say you don't really have to clean it often. Not as often as you would think.
No,
As
no, no, no,
long as you
no.
have a lot of filtration
Time
going and
out,
it's
time out.
not
Right.
not
That's the
totally
answer. The answer
totally relying
is the true answer, the correct
on it.
answer
Mhm.
is it totally depends on your tank.
on your
It
system. Yeah.
completely depends on what else you have going on. That's why it's so hard. I've actually been working on the site, guys, again,
Mhm.
but it's so hard to write an article. This is how you need to set up for a seahorse tank, or this is the correct way to do things, because there's so many different ways to do it, right?
Mhm.
And so the basics is you need to learn about the nitrogen cycle and
Mhm.
biofiltration. You need to learn about mechanical filtration. You need to learn about chemical filtration. Then you need to make sure you have enough of all three in your tank for
Mhm.
the way that you live, right? Because
Mhm.
if you're Vincent and you're raising adolescents and you want to leave your Robert King chambers in the tank and never clean them, but you do massive water changes, right? Because you got so many seahorse, then that's compensating for it. Holly and
Mhm.
I don't want to do massive water changes.
Mhm.
We want the filtration to work for us and them be the maintenance instead of us being the maintenance. So you can do it so many different ways. It just depends on what you're willing to do as far as work, and making sure that no matter what, you're compensating to keep the seahorses safe. Go ahead, Holly. You were going to say something. No?
Not really. Basically, like if I see there's food getting stuck, like there's actually food stuck on there, I'll remove that. Just
Yeah.
like I siphon out food. But if it's just algae, and stuff on it, then a lot of times I'll leave it alone until I get sick of looking at it.
Yeah.
Is kind of how I feel about it. And like this tank, like I just showed you, the water's super clear, but it's winter now and I don't feel like scrubbing. So, like some of the stuff, like I didn't do all the sides of the tank today. I did the front glass. I did part of the back where it was starting to get bad, but not all of it. And then that reef I showed you that was bubbling, it's starting to grow algae all over it. And I have two of those. And what I do in the summer, it's easier because stuff dries quickly outside in the heat.
Yeah.
If I pull that during winter and send it to the bleach bucket, it'll take weeks to dry because we keep getting rain and the weather is
Yep.
cold. And so, stuff in my tanks during the winter is not generally as clean looking as it is in the summer because things do not go to the bleach bucket as often.
As often.
And
Right.
like we talked about before, algae is not really
A bad thing.
dangerous for
No.
them. It's just unsightly. So I don't like the way it looks, but I don't want to deal with it right now.
So when I if so okay, a couple of things. First of all, just to comment on what Holly just said. If you have a pristine tank with artificial decorations and all
Mhm.
your filtrations in the sump and you see algae growing, you don't like it, you don't want it, like she said, but
Mhm.
the algae is growing in response to the organics, right? It's growing because there are organics in the tank, and that's what's growing the algae, and the algae is taking it up. So as you remove that algae, you're removing the organics, and that's a good thing. But as Holly said, as it's growing, it's just taking up the organics. It's not a bad thing. It just doesn't look pretty, right?
Mhm.
You don't like it. That's
Mhm.
where people with sumps use algae scrubbers. Grow that stuff. Ooh, and harvest it, and you're
Empty
taking
it,
out all the
throw it.
bad.
Mhm.
And I would say also that it's a good example because Holly
Mhm.
has this pristine, beautiful tank that you saw earlier with artificial decoration. She does everything in the sump. I have the exact opposite in my all-in-one, where I'm using macros in the tank, so it looks like a jungle in there, and
Mhm.
I'm able to get away with a little nuisance algae because it looks like it's just part of it, right?
Mhm.
But all of that is taking it up, and as long as I'm harvesting, again, I can't just let it go free because
Yeah.
if I'm not taking anything out, I'm not taking anything out. It's still sitting in
Mhm.
there and causing problems. But you can have a natural tank or you can have a pristine tank. You can
Mhm.
do things so many different ways. It's just if you're confused about something, come to this channel, come on, and we'll guide you through it, because
Mhm.
all of us have so many different experiences keeping different kinds of tanks that we'll walk you through and we'll help you figure out what your situation means. Bonnie wanted to know, wouldn't the dissolved organics become out of control if the sponge gets clogged?
If
Holly?
they were the only thing there doing the filtration, yes, but they're such a small part of my system. Like I have other sponges. I have sponges in the overflow boxes actually that I rinse out every week, and it they're not my main filtration. I have a sump full of biomedia. So I don't I don't worry about the little accessory items because it's not my main filtration. If I pulled the char chambers out completely, I don't think it would really make a difference other than on how clear the water looked because my system is not relying on them for filtration.
That's the way, perfect answer. And I would say, speaking of filtration, I saw Cora Works is here. Hello. Long time no see. I actually have a question for all of you, and I'll ask the question of the people that I know and get the answer. But my question is that, as Holly was saying, in her case, she doesn't rely on the char chambers, the Robert
Mhm,
King chamber, excuse me,
mhm,
to act as the full filtration for her system.
mhm,
Neither do I in either of my two systems that I still have running, but I do rely on K1 media because that's something that Dan, talked me into a long time ago, Dan from Seahorse, and I do love it and it does work. And
mhm,
I've never had ammonia in the tank, I've never had problems, etc.
mhm,
But my question is, does the K1 ever have a half-life? And the idea behind K1, layman's terms again, guys, but basically in your reactor, mine is a 1 liter bottle with this little K1 media, and I use an
mhm,
airline to make it tumble. And the
mhm.
idea behind it is that it tumbles against each other and it knocks things off, and so it self cleans, right? So I don't think it ever needs cleaned, but I'm really curious if
It
there's, you've had it for
Mine's
5 years.
turning brown.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's getting, and I think about that, and I'm like, well, it's gonna, is it gonna slow down turning? Is this gonna be a problem? But I remember Cheryl told me once, she said, you can take part of it out, just
And
like you do
replace.
with the
Yep.
char,
Yep.
and recycle it.
Yep.
Put some new in there, take part of it out, run it through the peroxide solution to clean it, and replace it with new. Don't take the whole thing, like we said, because you want it to, reseed the new, but you can take a handful out at a time and put a new handful in, and maybe that helps it keep it more debris free and cycling. But mine's going 3 years now,
Yeah,
maybe.
I feel like
I
mine is
want to
too.
say
Yeah.
about 3 years my K1's been tumbling, and it's not white anymore. It's looking kind of brown, but it's doing its
No,
job.
that's the
So
good
I just
thing.
leave it alone.
You
Now,
want
what
it to be
happens to
discolored.
me now and then, and I'm thinking one of the things on my wish list is new air pumps. You know how I have the
Mm-hmm.
air pumps with the 6 outlets, and
Yep.
I'm not happy with these one, and they've been going for years, but they get loud sometimes, and it's hard for me to control the air.
Yeah. Or they slow
Every
down.
little adjustment on the 6 valves, you get one going right, and then the others not working at all.
Yep.
And there's times sometimes when I've had it adjust itself to whatever, and I come in and something's not working.
Yes.
Like the char chamber sometimes not bubbling. The K1, thank goodness, and I leave that valve alone because the K1 has only stopped, I want to say once or twice, and I probably discovered it within a day.
Yeah.
But that valve, for some reason, it keeps going. But sometimes I have to adjust to get an air thing working, and it's just a biggest pain.
Well, and I've talked
You
about
probably
this
know
for
what I'm
years,
talking
guys.
about.
But yeah, using any air-driven filtration methods is, it's if it stops, what
Yeah.
then, right? So you have to
The
be
pump
constantly checking on
rattles
it.
itself, and it'll like
But here's the thing.
not as much air comes out, or more air's coming over here than over there, and now this
Yes.
thing's going and this is not, and ugh.
So you have to stay up on it, but that's another argument or point for making sure that your tank doesn't rely on one specific thing.
Yep.
So like none of my tanks rely on just a skimmer or
Mhm,
just K1 media or just a
mhm,
Robert King chamber.
mhm.
So in my all-in-one tank, I have rock, I have macro, which isn't the same as, is there's a debate about whether macro can be considered a filtration. But I have rock,
I
I have
kind of think
macro.
it is. It
It
made a
is.
huge difference in my freshwater tank. I'll tell you, this is the first freshwater tank I've done that's like heavily planted. Well, it heavily planted itself because stuff just started growing
Yeah.
everywhere, but it's so low maintenance because of that.
Yes. Absolutely. So again, in my all-in-one tank, I've got rock that I've had for years that, was clean, etc. I've got rock that's very cycled. I've got macros. I've got the Robert King chamber. I've got the K1 media reactor. And then I also have like the sock and the skimmer and the UV, right? So I've got all that stuff working together with my lazy self doing water changes to make this
Mhm,
work. So the more you can find contraptions like the Robert King chamber
mhm,
or a skimmer or a K1 reactor that you can make for yourself, like I did, the
mhm.
more you have backups, right? So then there's less worry if you have a weekend away or a week that you're not feeling it and you just don't do the water change or whatever. Um, Advice is always to do your water changes, of course. But I'm just
Mhm.
saying, having those backups, and they don't have to be expensive. You can make them. My K1 reactor I made. It cost me probably $10 total.
I
And
don't. I think just the K1 was the only maybe
charge. Yeah.
expensive part because in my K1 reactor, I use a 2-liter bottle, and a package of K1, I want to say on Amazon, just for, I want to say a pound, like about this much K1 was close to $20. But it's goes so far
Yeah.
as surfaces for bacteria that really it's worth it as far as the media. And yeah, there's videos on YouTube of how to make your own reactor to put it in. And it was so easy. It's literally a 2-liter bottle with a hole in the cap in the top. And I run the air line and an air stone about an inch off the bottom of the bottle, like about this far up. It's got glass stones in the bottom of the 2-liter bottle to weight it down to hold it in my sump. And then the air line sits over that, bubbles, and all the K1 just goes round and
Yeah.
round. The extra water, as it's bubbling, comes out the cap, that little hole in the cap. And I just used like a soldering iron, I think I got for $4 or $5 on Amazon. It it was just super easy to do,
So I'll
and
tell you
I
guys,
it
for
takes up
anybody out,
way less space in my sump than the bio balls do. So
yeah. I would say for anybody out there that's like soldering iron, oh God, she's getting complicated. I didn't use anything like that. I
it's
used a knife and
so
I
easy.
poked holes, right? I mean,
Yeah,
if you need to know how to make it, I'll try to do a video. I did a video, but I never published it. I need to just put it out there. But it's like, I'm very simple, right? Like, I'm
Yeah.
not buying soldering irons.
No, it's
I'm
super.
using a
Well, a
fork
soldering
to
iron, you can
twist.
get them for $3 at Harbor Freight. They're like
Right.
$3 or $4, and all it does is it heats up. It's like a hot metal needle,
Yeah.
and it's the right size. Turns out it's the same size as an airline.
Cool.
So when you poke the holes, it melts plastic so fast. It's like so you
Much
don't.
better option.
It's
Much better
not
option.
much better than a nail or a screwdriver or any of those things. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. I love this tool.
Yes. So
And
get
yeah.
one for sure. Because it was, because listen, I went through a couple of different bottles where my holes ended up too big or too wide or whatever.
Hmm.
So much better option. But I'm just saying, if that frightens you, if you can't get, if you don't have the $5, we can still
Hmm.
make it work, right? If you have the
Hmm.
media. And so I think I answered Coral Works's question. But yeah, mechanical filtration, very important. I'm
Hmm.
all about skimmers in a Seahorse tank, period, and the socks. So I have a
Yeah.
sock
I
on one
use
end of the
filter
tank.
socks.
Yeah, because you're right. We're talking all this about biomedia and
Hmm.
etc. But even a sponge filter or K1 reactor or whatever on any of those aren't going to help with the
The
particulate
mechanical
matter. Yeah.
filtration, I think, like Ray always says, is really important on a seahorse tank because you're trying to remove those uneaten food particles.
Yes.
So for me, I use the first chamber of my sump. The first thing that happens is actually before it even gets to the sump in my overflow boxes on this tank, there's a sponge
Mm-hmm.
before it goes down, that tries to trap stuff. Then it goes down the pipe through a filter sock, and that first chamber then has a huge protein skimmer in it that's
Yep.
rated for like 4 times my tank size. So it's got a protein skimmer there. Then the next part is my biomedia. So that's where I have the bio balls in one tank. And then my other tank has got the K1 and bio balls. And it goes through a sponge thingy to get to the next chamber, which is where it gets pumped back into the tank. So it actually my water goes through quite a bit of mechanical filtration in addition to the biofiltration and stuff. I'm finding stuff throughout the system trapped.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the mechanical is really important.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I'm listening. I'm also looking at conversation on the side. Zen,
Hmm.
I see your question. We're jumping back to it, but just to kind of stay in order, I'm going to go to Cora Works' first $1 million idea. K1 semi buoyant style moving bed media seeded with coralline algae. You'd have to blast your sump with light, but I don't know why, but I don't like it. I don't
I
like it.
don't like coralline algae. I'll say this. I don't. If you notice, like on my video of Sadie, all the coralline algae in that tank, it drives me nuts. It came from my
Yeah.
rock, and I can't get rid of it. It's so like calcium, and you're like scraping it off with a razor. The thing is, I don't think it'll grow on something that's moving.
And
Will
if it did, it would
coralline
clog
grow
it.
on K1?
I don't know. And if
I
it did,
don't
it would
think
it
it
would
will.
it would make it the whole
It
point to
wouldn't work.
K1, but the whole point to K1 is that it's buoyant, it moves, it knocks against each other, knocks pieces off, and has so many porous places that the bacteria can grow. So if you had coralline algae growing on it,
It'd weigh
that
it
would
down. It wouldn't
stop.
tumble. Yeah, it wouldn't
And
tumble
it would stop
everything.
the knocking off. It would stop the porous behavior. Yeah,
Yeah.
so sorry, Coro. I don't like it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I wouldn't say it's a thing because I'll say I battle in that tank that in my 55 gallon where Dandy and Sadie live. used to have rock in it and used to have coralline algae on the rock. Well, it spread to the acrylic tank walls and I can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Now and then I'll take a plastic razor blade and scrape it off. That's how you have to get rid of it. And it is the biggest pain. And I mean, it looks pretty on rocks, but it's ugly as heck on the walls of the tank, I think.
Well, there
And
are plenty of people that
hard
want
to
to do walls of coralline, so that's an opinionated thing. But
yeah.
I don't think, unless you're talking about like a coralline algae type scrubber or something, but I don't think it would work with the K1.
I
I don't think
don't
so.
either. I think it's too heavy a thing. It's a mineral and it'll
Yeah.
weigh it down.
Yeah.
Is my thoughts on that.
But CoralWorks is pretty
Mhm.
inventive, so keep showing us what you're thinking, sir. Um,
Yeah.
then Ginger wants to know, can y'all explain the rating on chillers? If I'm going to have roughly 110 to 120 gallons total, can I get away with a 100-gallon chiller, or do I need to go 150 or more?
Mhm. I'll tell you on my chillers, the one I got because for each tank I got the same model and I got it because it was the only affordable one. They're super expensive and mine are not rated as high as the gallons of my tank. But if you're familiar with aquarium heaters, which I know you are, it works on the same principle. So it kind of depends on the temperature of your room. If you don't have to lower the temperature by that many degrees, it's going to work fine to have one with a lower rating. If you're looking at a huge temperature difference, say like 30, 40 degrees, then yeah, you probably need a higher rated chiller. But I found that they're very similar to the function on an aquarium heater.
That
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, it's within that range, and it's about a 20-degree range or so that I found works well on those. So I can keep in my house gets up to 85 or so, 90 sometimes in the summer, ask Kelly.
Yes.
and
Yes.
my chillers, which are rated for about a 50-gallon tank, will keep my tanks at about 70 degrees, 7 house is 85 or so and they are rated for a 50-gallon tank, but I have a 75 and a 55, so they're a little lower than my tank size, but they work out.
So her question then is, she agrees with everything you said, but her
Mhm.
worry is when the power goes out, having to run on one generator.
No problem, no problem. They're not
Okay.
they don't overdo the generator. You can tell when the chiller comes on, the generator will go "Rrrr," and run higher because the chiller does use a lot of power, but it won't be too much for a generator.
Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. Well, one last thing I wanted to mention is that I'm wearing an old school Seahorse Whisperer shirt tonight. That is actually my seahorse that I made into a shirt. And Holly's wearing her member shirt that only members get. Show it again, Holly. And there's a cool thing on the back too.
I can turn it around and show you the
Yeah.
back. I can't see what you're seeing. Can you see?
Can you step up? Like stand up?
Like that much?
That's it. All right. So you see the cool design. If you become a member of the channel, you get one of those shirts. And either way, when we finally finish the website, you will be able to purchase Seahorse Whisperer merchandise. And even if you don't care about the channel, these shirts are cool. I mean, that is a freaking cool
Yeah.
t-shirt, right? So it's the holiday season. you know, buy your family some Seahorse gear. And if you have ideas for new Seahorse gear, I can do any of it. I can do Seahorse pants. I can do whatever. I just, need to get it on the site so it sells so that, there's a point to it. But in the meantime, uh, yes. And look, Zen has been a member for 22 months and
Oh
almost two
my
years.
gosh, it's been that
Woo!
long?
I
Oh,
know.
wow. I guess so. Well, you know what? Dandy is almost 6 years old.
Isn't that nuts?
That means I've been on here, what, like 5 years? Close to 5. Because look at my babies are 4 years old now.
Yeah. And you guys
Going
get
on
so mad at
5.
me because I missed 2 weeks. And I'm like, guys, I've been doing this for 10
Yeah, I've been here
years.
for years.
Right.
Yeah.
But I get it.
And I wasn't even here in the beginning.
Please believe that Ray was like, oh, this isn't sustainable. If she's not going to show up, we can't. And I was like, listen, I am so committed to this community. I want this so much to work out. I just need help. I need help. So, again, as I said in my post, if anyone wants to get involved in just running the live wine Wednesday, nothing more than that. No other, just if you're interested, you come every week, you're interested in maybe being here when I can't, please reach out because I do want to back up. It's not fair to put it on any of our major people like Holly or Ray. But we need someone to be here when I can't. And you guys know I'm here almost every week, but
Mhm.
just I don't ever want to miss a week. The community does matter to me. I love you guys, and I don't care if we're small. It doesn't matter to me. I still want to be here. So if anybody's willing to help, I can teach you. It's very simple. I'd be happy to. There's nothing, there's no. I would love for anybody to help. Let's leave it there. But for tonight, I do have to work at 5 in the morning, guys. So I'm gonna have to go. But I was here, right? And is there anything else, Ollie, that we need to cover?
No, honestly, I've been so busy. I haven't really paid attention to the Facebook stuff and seen who has questions or problems or any of that. So if anybody does, please speak up or
Yes.
message or something because I don't always pay attention to the Facebook group stuff, and
Well,
sometimes
and I'm
I'm
gonna
on
I'm gonna
there and I'll see stuff like days after the fact, and I'm like,
well,
oh.
and I'm gonna say honestly, like last week, the week before I had an appointment, but last week I literally did not know it was Wednesday until Thursday. I thought,
She's like Thursday, she's messaging me, where is everybody? And I'm
yeah,
all, Kelly,
yeah.
Wednesday was yesterday.
I literally got online to go live and realized that it was the day before, which tells you a little bit about my life, but let's not worry about that. My point is that I'm not on Facebook enough anymore. I'm not on social media enough anymore. So again, like Holly said, if we miss something, it's not on purpose. I promise you it's not on purpose. We want to help any seahorse keeper and we want to make you a member of our community. So um come here because we're definitely here, right? And then we can talk back and forth and actually help you solve a problem or reach out to Ray or Holly at least get you, a day or two behind. I'm not saying don't reach out to me. I'm just saying that I apologize to anybody who has because I've like Holly found messages from I also deal with I'm not trying to make excuses, you guys, but I also deal with the difference between a page and a personal page. And so if I
Hmm.
have it locked on personal page and then someone has messaged Seahorse Whisperer, I
Yeah,
found things from months ago. And I'm like, oh my
yeah.
God, I could have helped this person and
Yeah,
it's
I have a few
awful.
because I have business pages and stuff, and
Yeah.
sometimes it'll be on that, and you'll miss other stuff, or it doesn't allow you to see a message until you give it permission, or
Yeah.
all the weird
Well, and see, that's
stuff.
why if anyone really does want to get more involved with the community, and I mean, like, I'm totally willing to make someone a co-author of the page, of the website, of the Wine Wednesday, all of it. Like I'm getting older, guys, so I know I can't keep this up forever. So I don't want it to end, and I'm totally willing to involve other people and have them come help. So that's all. That's all. That's all I wanted to say. If you're interested, reach out, because I care very much about this community. I care about people keeping seahorses correctly, and I care
Mhm.
about seahorses being kept correctly. All right, I'll stop rambling now, but you get my point.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
Zen,
have
we might be here Christmas. We're talking about it.
Yeah, let's finish that conversation actually, because so what you guys are saying is, yeah, Christmas is on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll be here.
Hmm.
Like we do,
Yeah.
my family does our Christmas the weekend before, to be honest.
Hmm.
Um Thoughts? We could do a special episode. We could do Let me think on it.
I could share my seahorse's stocking.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'm thinking more of we could like even have a prize or something, a Christmas
Hmm.
present for some. Let me think on it. Watch for a post. I'm
Hmm.
telling you now that I plan to be here, um,
Hmm.
unless I post otherwise. And so let me think on what we could do, and I'll do a post. And then the week after, tell me it's not New Year's. Isn't New Year's? No. Oh, it is. It freaking
Is
is.
New Year's Eve a Wednesday too?
New Year's Day is a Wednesday. So I
Oh,
will
okay.
we will definitely be here New Year's Day,
Hmm.
because, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, you've got time. Then, 8 o'clock at night Eastern.
Unless you're sleeping after all the New Year's Eve stuff.
I told you guys my New Year's resolution has to do with losing weight. So it might be apple juice Wednesday from now on, because that wine is playing a part in the tummy. But anyways,
Well, you can
yeah.
have the alcohol, just add 0 calories to it, like I do.
Well, that was the other thing. Holly is my trainer in, just get a 0 calorie drink and use vodka. But vodka is potato based. Anyways, we're not gonna go there. Uh Chimp the Reefer even jumped in. Hi.
Wine and 7 Up. Make yourself a cooler. Use 7 Up Zero and wine.
No, there's a new 7 Up Shirley Temple. Have
Oh,
you
I
seen
had
it?
it the other day. I shared it on my Facebook. It's good.
Yeah. So that
I have that.
maybe we'll see. But
Good.
Chimp the Reefer, Zorro Works, all these people that are jumping in tonight because we missed the past 2 weeks. Um, Shoot me some ideas. Like, I wouldn't mind doing a giveaway or something for
Mhm.
Christmas or for New Year's. Um, I'm down with that. Just got to figure out what and how to run it, and what the requirements would be. But yeah, if we could bring some more people in that maybe their family, like mine, do Christmas on another date, so they're bored on Christmas, might as well come to Wine Wednesday, right? So
Yeah.
everybody reach out. We'll see. We'll try to figure it out. I will absolutely do a post either way to let you guys know. But as far as I'm concerned, as of today, we'll be here the next 2 weeks. If I post differently, sorry. But yeah, that's where we're at now, and we'll figure it out from there. And then
Look
next
what
year,
it
my other New Year's resolution is to get more serious about getting the website done and getting this channel more organized, to where we have more guests, to where we grow the community. I mean, I love just us being here. It's very easy, but I'd
Mhm.
love to grow it, and just need help, guys. So anybody interested, reach out. But for tonight, got to work at 5 a.m. So we're going to say Happy Wine Wednesday. But we're back. I won't miss again unless I tell you guys earlier otherwise. And in case we don't see you because you're celebrating your holidays, we hope you have a very amazing holiday season. If you have seahorses, hope they have a stocking like Holly's do. And if not, then I
Give
hope
them a
you're
little
ready.
something.
I hope this next year brings you seahorses. For that, we'll say happy Horn
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Cheers.
Cheers.